All right, so we're here with more bullshit to talk about, because of course we are, right? So much is going on. Excuse me. So much is going on in the modern day world. This is getting on my damn nerves. From the digital IDs and the nonsense dealing with that shit, how they're trying to turn America and every other country of the world into a surveillance state, to where they control everything you do as a human being because they want to move the masses like cattle and see themselves as gods amongst men. Then we have, people being distracted by the Epstein shit. I've already talked about the Epstein stuff, and I've stated this verbatim, and this is exactly what I'm seeing going on now. When it comes out that Trump was not a part of this shit, people are still going to say that the information in the news have been tampered with, and they're going to still hold Trump to the candle of Epstein, despite the fact that this man not only cut ties with Epstein in the early 2000s, but he also went to the feds and snitched on this guy. Then during his presidency, he brought it up about bringing out the Epstein files. He even called for this shit at the beginning of the year in his second term to release the paperwork, and people still believe Trump was involved with the shit. It's getting on my damn nerves. You can't say that somebody who's been banned from Mar-a-Lago and hasn't been communicated with since it is, in cahoots with somebody. But then, long and behold, a lot of Democrats were involved with Epstein, even invited him over for dinner. They even got donations from this dude. People are real quiet about that shit. Like the point of all that was to see Trump fall. That's what y'all wanted. Y'all wanted Trump to fall. He didn't, and now you're pissed off about it. Y'all didn't give a shit about the victims. And keep in mind, this is a distraction, because we got some new shit, which isn't new, but it's starting to make sense. Legion of Men actually pieced it all together dealing with Bill Gates. I've made videos about Bill Gates in the past. All right. Him buying up all the farmland, him and Jeff Bezos putting their money together to vaccinate a bunch of cows. I found out that Bill Gates was behind Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods. Like I know vegans and vegetarians that eat Beyond Meat personally. All right, his stock has been falling dealing with that, but it exists. And thankfully, I can say that we have states in America that are banning lab grown meat because Bill Gates wants us to eat synthetic meat and lab grown meat. Why am I bringing up meat? Because alpha gal is now becoming big. We have 400,000 Americans who have been infected with this, and it's a disease caused by a tick bite, ironically, that brings about an allergic reaction to red meat. It causes your body to treat red meat like an infection or like a poison, right? I want you to watch this video. He actually goes into this, and this stuff like this, people will label you a conspiracy theorist for, but in all honesty, all he's showcasing is the ability to critically think. This is the same shit dealing with COVID. Now we have Alpha Gal and them trying to force us into the New World Order diet. And it's a big thing. Anybody who keeps up with the carnivore diet and carnivore doctors, they will let you know about the WHO's new diet. As a matter of fact, I'll pull it up on my phone while this video plays. Let's get into this.
This morning, a New Jersey man is the first known person to die after a tick bite triggered a severe meat allergy.
This is really something that, people should be aware of and physicians should be aware of.
The 47-year-old went camping with his family in 2024 and got violently ill after eating a steak. He recovered, but 2 weeks later, he ate a hamburger and again got very sick, then died.
So as you've seen, a pilot died last month. He was 47 years old. He ate a hamburger, dead within a couple of hours. His throat swelled shut. He couldn't breathe. And by the time they got him to the hospital, it was too late. The cause, you might ask, is the alpha gal syndrome you just heard about. A tick bite. One tick bite, maybe years ago, and now his body treats red meat like poison. This is the first confirmed death from this disease in November 2025, but probably not the first death, just the first death where they figured out what killed this guy. And I want you to think about that for a second. You got bitten by a tick. Could be 10 years ago, could be last summer. You won't even remember it happening. And from that moment on, every time you eat beef or pork or lamb or whatever, you're rolling the dice 3 to 8 hours later. That's the sick part. It's delayed. You break out in hives, you start vomiting, your throat closes up. If you're lucky, you figure it out before it kills you. There's a guy online, he's a father who's been living with this for 14 years. He talks about watching his kids eat steaks at family barbecues. He can't join them. One bite and he's in the emergency room. He said it feels like losing a part of who he is. It's like mourning. That's the word that's used by these people, mourning. Another woman spent months thinking she was going crazy, getting sick at random. Doctors couldn't figure out. They suggested it might be psychological anxiety or stress. Meanwhile, she's vomiting in the middle of the night, covered in hives, her body attacking herself because she had dairy at dinner. And the CDC now estimates 450,000 Americans have this disease right now. Most of them don't even know it. They just know something's wrong. They keep getting sick and they can't figure out why. The tick that carries it is called the Lone Star tick. It used to be confined to the Southeast, Texas, Arkansas, Virginia. Now it's in Minnesota, Wisconsin, New Jersey, southern Canada, places that never had these ticks before, and they're spreading fast. Warmer winters, they say, climate change. The ticks survive longer, their range expands. Okay, maybe that's true. But I'm going to tell you something that's been bothering me personally as I was reading into this, and maybe I'm connecting things that aren't connected. Maybe I'm seeing patterns where there aren't any, but hear me out on this, okay? Bill Gates has been funding research on genetically modified ticks. Big shocker. Through his foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They gave a company called Oxitec $1.5 million in 2021, then another $4.8 million in 2023 to engineer ticks with something they call a self-limiting gene. The company says it's to control tick populations that affect cattle. It's a different species, the Asian blue tick, not the Lone Star tick that causes alpha-gal, completely separate. That's what they insist. Nothing to do with meat allergies in humans. But here's what they don't mention. Bill Gates is also one of the biggest investors in synthetic meat companies. Beyond Meat, Impossible Foods, Upside Foods, Good Meat. He's poured millions into these operations, and he's been very public about what he wants. In 2021, he said rich countries should move to 100% synthetic beef. His exact words. So, Gates is funding genetic modification of ticks. Gates is heavily invested in fake meat companies. And at the same exact time, a tick-borne disease that forces people to stop eating real meat is exploding across the United States. I don't know. What are the odds of something like that happening? Is it a coincidence in the world we're living in today? A forester had to change careers. He wrote about it online. He spent his whole life in the woods, loved it. Then he got alpha-gal syndrome. Now he's too afraid to go outside, too afraid of getting bitten again. The disease can cause worse with repeated exposure. So he gave up the work that he loved, the places he loved, because of a tick. That's what it does to people. It just doesn't make you sick, okay? It takes away parts of your life that you will never get back. But see, here's something else, something that genuinely disturbs me and should disturb you as well. And I almost don't bring this up because it sounds like something from like a dystopian novel. But it is real, and it was published in a peer-reviewed journal, guys. In January 2025, the Journal of Bioethics, you have two researchers, Parker Crutchfield and Blake Harris. They published a paper. The title is something academic and bland. But here's what they're arguing. Maybe we should let alpha-gal syndrome spread. Maybe we shouldn't try hard to stop it.
Bro, He's going to get into this too, because a lot of the stuff I've been saying, he's saying, I and many others have been saying, they are using climate change as a means to depopulate the earth. I've been talking about this. I've been talking about how the carnivore diet is a threat to them because they want you weak and malnourished. I talked about how veganism is propaganda. They want to kill you. It's that simple. Same dude that believes that the earth is overly populated is the same man that bought up all our farmland and is trying to poison our food supply. Same dude who paid off the WHO. He was one of the top contributors to them. If it wasn't United States taxpayer dollars, because Doge already proved that through US aid that they were taking our money and using it to pay for gain of function research, pandemic research, the same shit that caused COVID-19. Like, bro, now they have these ticks because the mosquitoes were already a thing. They were experimenting with releasing mosquitoes out into the wild, genetically modified mosquitoes. Bill Gates was behind that. Now we just have ticks mysteriously just popping up in regions that they should not be popping up in and causing people to be sick against red meat. And alpha gal is no joke. This isn't just a short, one-time issue. We've already saw how someone died because of it, but this shit, I've been reading stories on this. People with alpha gal have been fighting it for like 10 years. Can't even eat a burger. Can't even handle, a steak, ground beef, whatever. It'll kill them if they eat it. Or have them experience a severe allergic reaction. Meanwhile, you have carnivore doctors who also are who are working hand in hand with RFK. That's why you suddenly see an influx in beef tallow at fast food restaurants, etc., because these people are actually caring about your health. All that shit about red meat being dangerous, that was a lie. You were lied to all your life. They were really trying, and which I'm not even gonna get deep into that. You're losing your hair as a young man. They tell you that that's normal. Turns out it's not. Sugar intake is what causes hair loss in men. Being on a carnivore diet, you limit sugar and carb intake. Being on a carnivore diet actually puts diabetes, it puts cancer in remission. It stops diabetes because you're starving. You're starving the cancer, and your body has the ability to, heal from insulin resistance. Okay, no red meat can cause heart palpitations and increase in stress. Like, it's so many issues that we have diagnosed through pills and pharmaceutical, endeavors, etc., when it could all have been stopped with just proper diet. And you have these billionaires and these evil people behind the scenes that believe that they're greater than you are, using their money to prevent us from being able to heal ourselves. And then turning around to sell us a counterfeit that leaves us weak and malnourished and reliant furthermore on the pharmaceutical company, or we just die. One of the two. It is disgusting. All right, and Dr. Sean Baker, all right, he's one of the doctors who was working with RFK. I've actually subscribed to this guy a while ago when dealing with red meat because I knew something was off. I've been eating red meat all my life, and then out of nowhere, my parents is telling me it causes cancer. That made no damn sense to me. So I had to do some research. Anybody who's been on my channel for a while has seen me in the past looking this shit up and talking about it. He actually did a video on the new global diet that they're trying to force us to eat. And I want you to watch this.
As someone who has been described as the world's #1 misinfluencer, prepare to be misinfluenced. Now,
Yeah, misinfluencer. The misinformation, misinfluencer. conspiracy theorists. These are all terms coined to make anybody that's telling you the truth look uncredible. It doesn't matter if you have an MD like he does or not. When they say trust the experts, all they're really saying is shut the fuck up and listen to us and bend the knee. That's it. Shut up, bend the knee, and take what we're giving you. That's what they mean when they say trust the experts. That's why I was getting so pissed off during COVID. You are willing to blindly take a product that hasn't even been tested because of your fear, and anybody else showing up to bring some common sense to you is all of a sudden the enemy. You want to unfriend them and treat them like shit, talk down to them. You know, they're less than human, but you're willing to kill yourself, essentially. That's the shit that got me. But let's continue with this.
They are at it again. The globalists, such as the Eat Lancet Commission, wants to force upon you a diet which they feel is the appropriate diet for human beings, and it is a diet we must adopt in order to save the planet from apparently cow farts boiling the ocean and things like that. Okay, so what is this diet that they propose? Certainly, they say it's a plant-based diet, but I think upon reading the details of what they're recommending, I don't even think the staunchest vegan would be down for this, to be honest. It's absolutely shameful. It looks like it's been written by the companies that make ultra-processed human pet food. Okay, as I'm sure it will be of no surprise to any of you that some of the major funders of this so-called Eat Lancet Commission include the Rockefeller Foundation, the
Oh shit, the Rockefellers. What a shock.
Novo Nordisk, which obviously is a huge pharmaceutical manufacturer making some of these latest GLP-1 drugs, as well as GSK or GlaxoSmithKline, another major pharmaceutical player. So we've got this foundation of people that stand to clearly benefit from a world of sick, obese people with chronic disease. And so just think about that as one of the leading beneficiaries of this particular diet. So this is straight from their report that was just published. The authors of this study, many of them are ethical vegans. What they are proposing is the majority, the largest food group that we get our calories from, something like 775 calories per day out of a roughly 2,000 calorie diet, comes from grains. So grains are going to be the number one thing we're going to consume calories from. The number two thing are plant oils or seed oils. Number two,
and keep in mind he's reading off from the paperwork. But when you're eating a diet, you're not supposed to be worried about calories. If you're counting calories, you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't even be eating that shit if you got to count the calories. I'm just being blunt here. Well, let's continue.
Ingredient in our planet-saving diet is going to be seed oils. And then a significant majority of the calories, or a significant amount of the calories rather, are going to be coming from sugar. Now let's think about if that represents over 50% of your calories come from grains, seed oils, and sugar. Think about that. Think about what kind of diet that would lead to. Let's talk about some foods where those things are the primary ingredients. You could perhaps have cake, you could have donuts, you could have all kinds of pastries and things of that nature where these would be the top ingredients, and certainly a whole host of ultra-processed foods. This is a recipe for a sick, depleted, demoralized, weak, and obedient population is what this really is. And believe it or not, fruits and veggies, wonderful food on the planet, only represents a very small percent of the diet. A little bit more than 10% of the diet comes from fruits and vegetables. So anyone who is vegan, vegetarian would probably have some issues with that, I think. Now let's talk about the the thing that gets almost no food is the animal foods. What do they recommend for that? Well, they do allow you to have 100 plus calories a day of dairy products. So you can thank them for that. But when it comes to an egg or eggs, you get 20 calories worth of eggs a day. So, a whole egg has about 60 calories. So you can have 1/3 of an egg a day. Gosh, don't splurge on that. And then when it comes to meat, particularly.
Bro, I can eat like half a carton of eggs in a single sitting. 1/3 of an egg. Yeah, the food with some of the most, aside from like liver, well, just any beef or, lamb or bisons or something, you're going to get just about every single vitamin you can think of. And it's the best to digest. Plants you can't really digest that well. In fact, plants fight you back when you're trying to digest them, even after cooking. Like you're not going to get nutrients from plants. You're going to get a lot of fiber, which is just undigested food. You're shitting bricks, literally. Like fruit is just a bunch of damn sugar, which can spike insulin, spike blood sugar. The food that's actually the best for you, they want to cut out completely. They want you weak. All right. It is that damn simple. This is the diet that they want for you. And then you look into the studies and you look into who, and you're like, well, what does this have to do with Bill Gates? Bill Gates is one of the top funders for this. And they're all in cahoots with each other. And now we got an influx of ticks. That now is a cause for concern, having these ticks show up to make it to where you're unable to eat any animal product. But what can you eat? You gonna eat that fake meat that he's trying to sell you? You know his stock has been dropping lately, right? And Beyond Meat, because nobody's fucking buying this shit. This is something I just wanted to bring to light. You know what I mean? While everyone's worried about Epstein and shit and whether or not Trump tampered with the paperwork, I don't care about that. Well, one, because I know the truth. And two, because what's going on right now, right here, this is a cause for concern that nobody's talking about. You got the digital IDs. I know the internet went out, but I found out later that they fucking was reprogramming and rewriting code in Rust, which is why Cloudflare went down in the first place. I don't know why the hell we're switching to Rust. I think there's an agenda behind that shit too, because they're trying to do the same shit with Linux, and Rust just happens to be the programming language that the government has been promoting. I don't like that shit. We have this forcing of, you know, uploading your personal information. They're trying to bypass all privacy. We talked about the digital IDs. They're trying to push forth into AI technology. They're trying to do all of this shit. You want to see a world that they're gunning for? Look at China and look at the UK. What's going on in China and the UK is what they want for the American people, while simultaneously feeding you bullshit that's just killing you. They changed the retirement age so that you'll be working for them forever. And then by the time you're able to retire, you're going to be dead already because your diet is an improper diet, because they're feeding you bullshit. That's the goal that they want for you. They want you to be weak slaves that die before their time, while they make all the profit off of you and have full surveillance and control over everything that you do, because you will own nothing. You will eat bugs, that type of shit, right? And get the fuck out of here with this shit, man. And for all the people who are talking about Trump and Epstein, y'all didn't give a fuck until Trump brought it up. I'm just gonna be honest here. I ain't hear shit about Epstein while Obama was president. I ain't hear shit about Epstein while Bush was president. I didn't hear shit about Epstein while Biden was president. Kamala didn't bring up the shit. Only Trump brought it up, and only Trump said that he wanted to release the paperwork. And everybody, because of the media, associated Trump with Epstein using a single picture. But then when victims were brought for questioning, they all said that Trump wasn't even there. And if they were in the same area as Trump, he was very professional. I forgot her name because they redacted her name, and then come to find out that the name was already public information. So I don't know why the hell the Democrats redacted the name from the emails, but that woman actually endorsed Trump. That's what makes it funny. How are you a victim, but you're endorsing the guy that's supposed to be in cahoots with your rapist? I'm a shit. I didn't bring up that shit, but I'm going to just leave it at this. You need to really keep your eyes and ears and wits about you. And if you actually have a question about something, instead of going to Fox News or MSNBC or ABC or CNN and looking to them to try to tell you what you need to think, go online and search elsewhere. If you can find a study, actually read the study. Read the paperwork. If you can find a case, read the case. We have the almost called it the Open Information Act, but you can access information. You can request to get information. Then I have something else going on in the background that has nothing to do with, I brought this up before. I was going to do my research on the Coinage Act, and I was going to make a petition to reinstate the Coinage Act. I only have 6 signatures. I can't even get people to fucking sign this shit because of, I'm gonna be blunt, your weak ass mentality. Oh, they're not going to do it. They're not going to care. We're not going to get it done. You really think they're going to actually put that into law? So you're going to sit on your hands and do nothing? This mentality is why shit is happening to you. Instead of fighting back and trying to get shit fixed, you would rather sit in a corner somewhere and just watch it happen, using the book of Revelations as a reason to not do nothing. It was going to happen anyway, and you're just going to sit and let it, you're just going to let it happen. This is my petition. Okay. I'm putting this in the description as well. I'm going to share some of the paperwork about the Epstein victim that endorsed President Trump. I'm going to share her shit. And then I'm going to leave this video and this video so you can get a better picture as to what's going on. And anybody who's been keeping up with me should know that I can't stand Bill Gates. And I got my eye on Jeff Bezos and even Elon Musk. Because Elon and his push for AI is concerning as well, especially with that brain chip he was working on. Granted, it failed, but that shit can lay down the groundwork. They wanted AI that could read your thoughts. Imagine a brain chip that connects directly to the cloud. Imagine what AI could do with that shit. That they would have access to every part of your being if we allow this shit to continue. But whatever, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm done. I'm through.